Welcome to Convention Hopper on XE Studios. I'm Ichida Zazil, and I'm here once again with Mr. Black.
How's it going?
How are you feeling today?
I'm exhausted, but I'm running on ConDrenalin, which is a term I just learned from you. So
I know, right?
I love
I'll have a nice little dictionary description in the annotation right there. Moving along, first question. First comment, I would like to start by congratulating you on what seems to be a relatively smooth release of the Philosophy album compared to the other one.
Yeah, absolutely. It was much more painless, and I think the truth is that we've moved to digital as a music culture, and people sometimes still want the physical for a memento, for kind of like a keepsake or a collectible.
Or just something to autograph.
Sure, but I think most people are doing digital, so to start with digital, available on day one, really made everybody happier in the end, and I think it was just more in sync with, where we are as a music purchasing society.
Yeah, that seems to be where we're headed. So, can we officially call your fans philosophers at this point, like the joke at last year's ConBravo went?
What are Brentalfloss fans called?
Flossmen?
Flossers?
Flossmen?
That's a good one.
Philosophers, that's good.
Philosophers? I hope.
Not bad. I usually just call them trolls, but actually the word Brentalfloss is an anagram for fans be trolls. So
really?
It really is.
That's amazing.
It wasn't on purpose, but no, philosophers is actually pretty good. I guess it's better than like floss heads or flossers.
Oh, I'm sure there's a bunch of them from last year's ConBravo that were in the video, but Philosophers was the one that I really liked.
I can dig it.
All right. So first, you released a karaoke album of your first CD, and now people are asking you for the without lyrics for most of your songs. So what are your thoughts on the fact that people are starting to understand that you are more than just a lyricist? You actually are a composer, and you're actually really talented, and people are seeing that side of you?
It's great. I mean, I honestly didn't know how I was going to keep up my commitment to a 2 episode a week schedule. That was my goal starting in May. If you notice, I went from almost no videos a month to Phoenix Write with Lyrics, and then almost every week 2 uploads, Monday and Thursday. And the Without Lyrics series has really been a nice way to do a lot of things. It keeps the video stream going, so people feel like they get something and don't have to wait 2 weeks in between the big videos. But also, I do work really hard as an arranger, and that's a word that most people don't know. They know remixer, so I mostly use the word remix because that's a word people understand. But an arranger is like you're breaking the song down to nothing and building it back up in a whole different sound. And if it was plinky plonky in an 8-bit sound, you can make anything with it. And it takes a long time, and it requires lots of instrumentation. Probably every video I do where I do an arrangement of a classic video game song, probably, in all honesty, 8 to 20 hours of me just sitting there recording, tweaking, mixing, mastering, re-recording, using new instruments, getting rid of it all, changing the key. It takes a long time, so the fact that people, by and large, especially the big fans, are starting to realize when you take the lyrics away, there's a lot of intricate stuff going on. It's great because I feel like I never really got a lot of credit for that before, and now I'm able to kind of have my cake and eat it too. They like the lyrics, but they also like the song, and they can do their own covers. When I release the karaoke MP3s, they can do their own covers on their YouTube channel. So it's kind of like, the best of both worlds. I get to do 2 different things I love, and I get, attention and validation for both sides of it.
Sounds fulfilling.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
All right. Speaking of your work as a arranger, that's a term I just learned. See, we're both learning. You recently put yourself out on the market as a video game music composer for hire. How much success have you had with that?
Well, success is a funny word. I've written for a lot of video games, mostly small assignments, mostly games so indie that they may or may not ever come out, and they may or may not be played by very many people ever. But Default Dan is probably the most buzzworthy among them.
I did see that game, yeah.
Yeah, and that's like a full soundtrack. Most people haven't heard the version of the game with the soundtrack yet because they had kind of a beta soundtrack that wasn't written by me, which has been in a lot of Let's Plays and stuff. But that was the one really full-length, album-length soundtrack that I've done for games. And the truth is, I really need to change the website, the BrentBlackTunes.com website, because I really enjoy composing for video games, but I haven't found a business model where I can actually make it work as a job or even really a steady, stable side gig. So I think I'm just gonna, change it to a situation where if there's a fan out there and they've got a serious budget and a serious quality game, for instance, something like Shovel Knight. Jake Vert Kaufman was a great choice for Shovel Knight. But new games that come out that have like buzz and they're indie and they need catchy music, kind of an older style as opposed to, an ambient style like you see nowadays, I would love to do that. But it would really have to be the kind of game that I'd drop everything for, because even when I was doing like 8 hours a day of writing music for video games for a little while there in December or January, it's still, I couldn't find a business model that made it pay the bills. And, if I didn't have anything else in my life that paid the bills, I would probably either say, well, I'm going to get a quote real job, or I'm just going to do this more and more and more and do it 14 hours a day and raise my rates. But it really came down to the fact that I went, okay, so this is fun, but I can't pay the bills with it. No matter how hard I do it, I can't compose that fast. But I have this whole with lyrics thing I've been doing for 5 years that really I haven't been nurturing, and that does pay the bills. So while I am still technically a video game composer for hire, my standards of the assignments that I'll accept have really gone so far up that it's it really comes down to whether it's going to be a career thing and not just writing music for the sake of the game, that maybe people will hear of, maybe they won't, for a team that maybe is a bunch of 16-year-olds with a dream,
Yeah, so it's got to be, worth your time.
Yeah, which I hate to phrase it that way.
No, I know. That was just how it came.
Right, but that's the thing. That's exactly true. That's the perfect, most blunt and straightforward way to say it. But it's a hard thing to say when you open yourself up and, if you say to somebody, well, your project, regardless of how much love you have for it, just isn't worth my time. But what it really means is, unless you can pay me way more, I just can't do this and also eat and clothe myself,
So eventually you're just going to have a super polite macro email you're just going to start sending to people.
I think I'm just going to change the website so that if people are submitting, they already get a sense that...
Yeah, have a list of qualifications or...
Yeah, or just...
you need to have this before,
Right. And you never know. Every now and then, I did a game called Chicken Nights that is, kind of so indie that I'm not sure how many people will ever hear of it. But when I heard the phrase Chicken Knights, it was okay, you're saying that there's a bunch of knights in shining armor that are chickens. I'm in. I will do it. And they sound like I did the Bak Bak Box. They sound like the chickens from the Muppets, but they're also Bak 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 Bak. We've got swords, we've got arrows. It's pretty cool.
Nice. Okay. Are there? Let me just see which one I'm going to finish up with. Let's finish with the lightning round.
Okay.
I'm just going to rapid fire some questions at you.
Okay, here we go.
Favorite color?
Purple.
Favorite breakfast cereal?
Oh man, so hard. How do you put that in the lightning round? Oh, Lucky Charms, but really, there's 10.
Favorite internet meme, if any?
Why
Nice. And because you're a gamer, favorite RPG class?
Red Mage, because I feel like I am one.
Is it because of the fashion sense?
No, actually, red's not my color. It's more that I feel like...
You're a jack of trades?
Yeah, I really don't have one major focus. It's more about an eclectic mix, and that gets me into trouble with identity and, being pulled different ways. But yeah, I think for better or worse, I am the Red Mage.
Okay. And we're just going to wrap it up. For anyone watching this who hasn't heard of this man by this point, how are you still subscribed to this channel and you haven't heard of him yet? Give a quick shout out and tell people what you do.
Well, what I do is I take video game tunes, classic video game tunes, and I add lyrics to them, kind of like Weird Al, make music videos around them. Also, I release albums, and youtube.com/Brentalfloss is the home of the videos, and if you want to go straight for the music I've released, the best way to do that is brentalfloss.bandcamp.com.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
It was a pleasure.
Have a good convention.
You too. ConDrenalin!
ConDrenalin!